Good morning and welcome to day 6 of our reading plan through the book of John. Today's reading is John chapter 1, verses 19 through 28. And this is the section where everybody in charge was trying to figure out who is this wild man in the wilderness baptizing people, asking them to repent because the Messiah is coming. And they're talking about, of course, John the Baptist. They go out to the Jordan to check him out for themselves and they ask, "Who are you? What are you doing here? Are you the Messiah? Are you the prophet?" He says, no. And the way he responds is this. He says, "I am the voice of one calling in the wilderness. Make straight the way for the Lord." This means two things. The first, this is a throwback to Isaiah, who was one of the prophets, the Old Testament prophets, who said, the voice of the one calling in the wilderness, he's coming and he's going to be preparing the way for the one who really matters, the one who is coming to save us. So John is saying, the time is here, the time is now. I am the one who is crying out, the one after me is coming. John's whole function is about making room for Jesus. And what does it mean to make straight the way? If you've ever been to the Holy Land, you know that they didn't have cars, they didn't have highways or concrete. The roads back then followed the terrain, so they were windy and they were hilly, and there was no direct, efficient way to get from Jerusalem to Jericho to Rome, anywhere. So what the prophet was saying is, I am making the way straight. I'm going to make it as easy and efficient as possible for God to get through. That's what John's saying about who he is. He's trying to make the way efficient for Jesus to get through, to get his message and his movement going. And this is the second thing. For me, I have so many voices chattering into my ears, whether it's actual people or the things I see on TV or the things I see on my social media or I hear on the radio. What for you are the voices that you hear constantly chattering? Do you have influencers you follow? Do you even get devotional emails from people, from different spiritual leaders you respect? My question for all of us is, are those voices making the way straight for Jesus to get in? Some of those voices for me are just distractions. It's just like last night, I laid in bed scrolling through a New York Times article about Lea Michele and whether or not she should be canceled or celebrated for her new debut in Funny Girl. But I spent like 15 minutes mindlessly scrolling through that story. Are they pictures that you see on Instagram? What are all the messages coming into your mind? And do they help make room for Jesus in our lives? So that's my question for you. What are the voices? And are they doing what John does? Do those voices make it easier and more efficient for Jesus to do his work in our lives? If I had to guess, like 90% of the voices I listen to are actually making it much harder for Jesus to do his work in my life. They're clutter, they're distraction, they cause me to feel envy, they cause me to feel defeated. What are those voices for you? And whose volume do you need to turn up so that Jesus can make his way into your life? Because he's the real voice we need to hear. His voice is the one we need to hear. It's the voice that speaks forgiveness. It's the voice that speaks truth, even when that truth feels like conviction. And sometimes it feels like comfort, but oftentimes it's a challenge. So how do you need to adjust your volume today? What needs to go down so that Jesus' volume in your life can go up?